What's going on, O-line? It's your Observant Lineman, Uche Nwaneri, and we have a new First Encounters today. This is basically for anybody who's ever been a part of team sports, has gone out there with the intention of putting their best foot forward, having a ball-in performance, and has in fact stunk up the entire joint, forcing them to get benched, relegated to the bench to think about how you got to that point. This is the first time that I got benched in my entire career as an athlete, and it happened in my second year in Jacksonville. Let's get to it. So, taking you guys back, 2009, that would be my second year in the NFL, 2008-2009 season. And we are going up against Cincinnati Bengals. It's been a particularly testy week in Jacksonville for a few reasons, and I'll get into that later in the story. But this was the first time I got pulled out of a game, and in this year we had some high expectations in 2008, 2009, because in 2007, which was my rookie year, we made it to the playoffs. We signed Dave Garrard to a 7-year, $60-something million contract, and it seemed kind of like we had all the pieces in place to, go on a run as a squad, as a franchise, which is kind of the same thing that happened in 2017 with the Jaguars. But anyways, in this particular, season, things just got off to a terrible start, but again, when we talk about expectations, ESPN had us winning the Super Bowl this year. So that's where we were. From a media standpoint, for the first time, the Jaguars were being looked at as a legitimate Super Bowl contender. And, I don't know if it's just the Jacksonville curse, but things started off absolutely horrible. The week of the first game of the season. This is Monday. And, a lot of us on the team are awakened to the news that our presumptive starting left tackle, Richard Collier, was shot 14 times.
He may not remember what happened the morning of September 2nd, but it's a day that changed Richard Collier's life forever. For the first time, doctors for the Jacksonville Jaguars lineman are talking about his condition. They say he's paralyzed below the waist and his left leg had to be amputated. The 26-year-old professional football player was shot while sitting in a car with a former teammate outside an apartment complex earlier this month. And despite having 14 bullets in his body, doctors say he's now in stable condition, but still has no memory of the shooting.
This guy was in a coma while we were playing our first half of the season. And, we didn't know if he was going to live or die. So that was one thing that happened. And then the next thing, we had a ton of injuries before the season. Before we got 2 or 3 games into the season, we'd lost 3 out of 5 offensive linemen. Our starting cornerback, Pro Bowl cornerback, Rasheem Mathis, he was dealing with injuries. It seemed like just an avalanche of players getting hurt. Guys who were crucial parts of the team were getting hurt, and we're done for the season. We're on IR. That year in the NFL, the Jaguars had, I think, 27 players on IR, and 15, 16 of those players were contributors, guys who were out there on a regular. Some were starters. So it was ugly. We were hanging on for dear life during this season. And, again, by way of injury, I was a starter now on the offensive line, earning my stripes. And we're going into a game against the Cincinnati Bengals. And the Bengals at this point, I believe, were 0-8. No wins, but they were getting close. In the previous weeks before we played them, they were starting to get close. So you didn't want to be that team that let the Bengals get their first win. That would be a hard loss for any team in the NFL at this point. The whole week in practice, we were watching film on these guys, and our O-line coach, Andy Heck, would tell me, Uche, they're going to run this game. It's a 3 down and 1 around game. And you have got to keep your eyes arranged so when you're blocking down towards the center and that defensive end is penetrating, which he's going to be coming straight at your hip, you need to make sure that you are able to adjust, give a little ground, and come back to pick him up. Because if you don't do that, then Khalif, who is our left tackle, is going to have to stay on him. But that linebacker who was over the center is going to loop all the way around and have a free shot on our $60 million quarterback. And he stared at me for a second when he said that. Which, for me, I'm the young guy. I was a little bit nervous when he was, with the seriousness and the gravitas he was putting about this particular stunt. Because every year in the NFL, there's certain kinds of stunts or blitzes that we call the flavor of the week, or is the flavor of the season for blitzes, where a team figures out a little kind of cheat, a little new tactic where they just completely confuse teams for weeks on end. The Pittsburgh Steelers did it back in 2007. They had the Gut X blitz where the 2 linebackers crossed on the blitz, and that confused offensive lines the entire season. It was like you just watched film of quarterbacks getting wrecked over and over and over because these linebackers ran this perfect seeming blitz. So anyways, we went through this in practice, and I'm telling you guys, I didn't get it right one time in practice. And we would watch film after practice, and Andy, when Andy doesn't see you get it right in practice, he gets really, really nervous because we're getting close to the game and you're the one who's going to be out there. So he was getting more urgent and more urgent through the week of practice. And by Friday, which is our half day, Andy runs it for me in like the half speed portion of practice where we just kind of slight jog through it. He told me what play it was going to be because normally they don't tell you what plays these blitzes are going to come on. They just tell you what blitzes or what games we're going to get for the practice. But you have to, know that, from film study, what different formations we'll see it against and what plays we'll likely run where they would use those kinds of tricks. So you study it in film, but on the field, it's like a quiz during practice. They don't tell you when a blitz is coming unless you're like a super vet like Brad Meester was. He'll whisper it to Brad, let him know what play to watch out for something. But on this day, with only helmets on, he comes over to me. All right, Uche, look, your third play in, we're giving you that look with the down and around. We're giving you that look, okay? Don't fuck it up. I'm like, all right, got you. This was the one time in the entire week of practice I got it right. And I was not even convinced that I was doing it right when I did it, but I got it right? So we go into the game. And man, this game, it was such a bad vibe for me during that game. I felt from the first play of the game, I was like, I don't know. This doesn't feel like it's going to be a good day. I was going up against Peko, and Peko's this big Hawaiian cat, Samoan dude, crazy hair. I was going up against him the whole game, and he's got these dang shifty hands, like these quick twitch hands. And I haven't developed my quick twitch hands yet. I'm a second-year player. I'm trying to get with the program. This cat was, I just felt uncomfortable against him the whole game. I felt like, man, it's only a matter of time before something bad happens. So we're inside the 20-yard line. And, I go out there and I'm not even thinking about this stunt that we worked on all week. Not even thinking about it. And on the very first play, we're running a play action, right? So you're selling the run, but it's a quick sell, and then you settle into your pass protection. And on this play, I still remember it like it was yesterday because I didn't know what was happening until I felt the defensive end's hands on my hips pushing me. So the ball gets snapped. I fake into the slight fake inside for the run play, and then I'm blocking down on Pecco, but he keeps going down, and I'm like, what is he doing? And I start to, at that very moment, it flashes into my brain, turn to the left because this must be a game. And I start to do this, and I feel my hips just collapsing inward. And I'm like, oh no. And I see a linebacker running full speed past my face around the tackle. And I'm like, oh no. And he destroys. I mean, I could see it. That's how far down I got pushed by that defensive end. I'm watching Dave Garrard, and I'm watching this linebacker run square through his rib cage as he releases the ball. And then I'm looking at the ball floating in the air towards the sideline. And then I'm looking and I see a freaking Bengals cornerback just like this, like, yeah! And the ball just doof. It's the equivalent to a sack fumble in football, where the quarterback gets hit on a release because he got zero protection, floated a ball to a receiver who was open, but now that receiver the timing is off. So it's just the DB who was beat, who is waiting on an interception that's gift wrapped it to him. And after that play, I'm jogging to the sideline, and I just knew it. I was like, that was on me. That was on me. And Andy just walks over to me about 2 minutes later, because they never come to you right after it happens. They give you a second because they know if they come to you right after, if you're in the wrong kind of headspace, you might snap on them. And I was like, shit. I was pissed. Yeah, of course. But Andy comes over, and Andy didn't raise his voice. He didn't, point his finger in, any kind of condescending manner. He walked over to me with his Oakley shades on and headset, moves the headset off one ear. Hey, Uche, next drive, just come stand by me. Yeah? I'm like, yeah, of course. I mean, what am I going to say? No? And this is the crazy part about this. The next drive, when the offense goes in, I'm on the sideline. And we go right down the field and score a touchdown. Soon as I come out the game, we start moving the ball right down the field, and we score a touchdown in like 5 plays. So clearly, Uche was the weakest link. And that was the first time in my career as an athlete that I got benched for stinking it up out on the field. Let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments down below. Have you been benched for playing like a bum out on the field, whether it be in football, basketball, soccer, what have you? Have you been pulled for a poor performance? Let me know. But I am your Observant Lineman, Uche Nwaneri. Appreciate you for checking out this video, and I will catch you all on the next one. Peace.